right, so get this. A Chinese AI startup called DeepSeek. They're making some pretty huge claims, and the whole tech world is buzzing about it. Like, we're talking potential disruption on a massive scale, folks. And we've got articles, market analyses, even some like leaked internal memos. It's wild, let me tell you. This deep dive is going to be a wild ride.
Yeah, it's a fascinating case study for sure. DeepSeek seems to be like challenging some fundamental assumptions about, what it takes to compete in the AI space.
Yeah, so for those of you who haven't heard, DeepSeek is this Hangzhou-based company. They were just founded last summer. And get this, they're backed by High Flyer Quant, which is a big name in quantitative investing. Basically what they do is they use algorithms and data to like make investment decisions.
Right, High Flyer Quant, they have a reputation for spotting opportunities that a lot of people miss. So they're backing a DeepSeek. That suggests they see some serious potential there.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the bombshell. DeepSeek is saying they've created AI models that are just as powerful as OpenAI's ChatGPT, but they built them for a fraction of the cost. And get this, they're making them open source. Anyone can access and use them.
Oh, wow. That open source approach is a really interesting, it's a direct challenge to the traditional model of proprietary AI development, where companies like really guard their technology,
It's like saying, hey, here's our cutting edge AI, have at it. It's pretty wild. And this news sent shockwaves through the market, especially for companies like Nvidia who make those really powerful AI chips. Their stock took a nosedive when this news broke.
Yeah, it's understandable. Nvidia has built this huge business around supplying the hardware for AI development. So if DeepSeek's approach is successful, it could fundamentally change the economics of the industry.
For sure. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. DeepSeek was founded in July 2023 by Liang Wenfeng, who comes from the world of hedge funds. It's like he took his financial wizardry and applied it to AI.
Yeah, it's an interesting background for sure. Wenfeng seems to have a knack for identifying undervalued assets and exploiting market inefficiencies. And it looks like he's applying that same mindset to AI development.
Yeah, and they're not just aiming to match what the big U.S. tech giants are doing. They actually want to surpass them in efficiency and open source collaboration. They've already released a couple of models, DeepSeek V3 and DeepSeek R1, and the buzz is that they're comparable to OpenAI's offerings, but much cheaper to run and, again, open source.
This is a big departure from the prevailing wisdom in the AI world, which has been, bigger is better. The more computing power, the better. The AI DeepSeek's challenging that assumption.
So how'd they pull it off, especially with the U.S. having restrictions on those advanced AI chips?
Well, they've been pretty clever about it. They've embraced this approach called mixture of experts, or MO. It's kind of like imagine you have a team of specialists, a doctor for medical questions, a mechanic for car problems. You wouldn't call on the entire team for every issue, right? You'd only consult the relevant expert.
Okay, so they're being strategic about which parts of their AI model they use for different tasks.
Exactly. It's all about maximizing efficiency by only activating the necessary components. They're also using techniques like reinforcement learning, which is kind of like training a dog with rewards and punishments. They guide the AI towards desired outcomes through feedback.
Interesting. So instead of brute forcing it with tons of data, they're teaching their AI to learn in a more focused way. And there's something about distillation too, right?
Right. Distillation is like taking a giant textbook and condensing it into a cheat sheet. They take these massive AI models and find ways to shrink them down without sacrificing too much performance.
So through all of this, DeepSeek was able to train its model using a relatively small number of those fancy NVIDIA GPUs. The whole process took about 55 days and cost around $5.6 million. That's less than some Silicon Valley startups spend on office snacks.
It really highlights how DeepSeek is taking a completely different approach. They're not trying to outspend their competitors, they're trying to outsmart them.
It's a real David versus Goliath situation. DeepSeek, this scrappy startup with a clever approach, is taking on the giants of the AI world.
And it has huge implications for investors. The old playbook of just pouring money into companies with the most computing power, that might not be relevant anymore.
So if I'm an investor, what should I be thinking about now?
That's a great question. And that's exactly what we're going to explore next. We'll dive into how DeepSeek's success is changing the game for investors and what you should be considering in this new AI landscape.
Okay, so DeepSeek has shaken things up, but how does this actually impact investors? What's changed?
Well, the old playbook, just investing in the companies that have the biggest data centers and the deepest pockets, that's not necessarily the winning strategy anymore.
So it's not just about the hardware. We can't just ride the NVIDIA wave.
Not necessarily. I mean, DeepSeek's success is showing that efficiency and innovation, they can be just as powerful as raw computing power.
So what are like savvy investors doing differently now?
Well, they're looking beyond the hardware and digging deeper into the software side of things. They're seeking out companies that are developing, more efficient AI training methods, algorithms that can do more with less.
So they're looking for the brains behind the brawn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're also interested in companies that are developing energy-efficient AI technology. As these AI models become more and more complex, the energy consumption is becoming a major concern, both from an environmental perspective and a cost perspective.
That makes sense. So instead of just chasing the companies making the AI chips, they're thinking about who's using those chips in the smartest, most sustainable way.
Right. And there's another interesting shift that's happening. Investors are looking beyond those foundational model providers like OpenAI and starting to seek out companies that are actually developing real-world AI products.
So it's less about the building blocks and more about what people can actually do with those building blocks?
Precisely. Think about it. If AI becomes more accessible and affordable, as DeepSeek is suggesting, we'll see this explosion of applications across, all sorts of industries.
Yeah.
That's where the real value lies.
Yeah, give me some examples. Where might we see these real-world applications taking off?
Well, think about healthcare. We could see AI-powered diagnostic tools that can analyze medical images with incredible accuracy, helping doctors catch diseases earlier. Or imagine personalized treatment plans that are tailored to an individual's genetic makeup and lifestyle.
Wow, that would be incredible. What about other industries?
In education, we could see AI tutors that provide personalized instruction, adapting to each student's learning style and pace. And in the creative fields, imagine AI tools that can help artists and musicians generate new ideas and push the boundaries of their craft.
Okay, that's exciting. It feels like we're on the verge of a whole new era of AI innovation.
We very well might be.
Yeah.
And this brings us to another crucial point. Software.
Yeah.
While hardware has been the darling of AI investors for a while, the future of AI might hinge more on software advancements than on raw processing power.
So software is king again? I guess it always finds a way back to the throne.
Indeed, DeepSeek's success is a testament to the power of smart algorithms and efficient coding. They've shown that you don't need mountains of data and massive computing power to achieve, these breakthroughs in AI.
So investors need to keep that in mind. Don't get too caught up in the hardware hype. The real magic might be happening at the software level.
Exactly. And this is where things get a little tricky. We can't ignore the geopolitical context. DeepSeek's rise will likely intensify tensions between the U.S. and China in the tech arena.
Oh yeah, we can't forget about that whole global rivalry thing.
Exactly. The U.S. has been the dominant force in AI, but China is catching up rapidly. DeepSeek's success is a sign that the balance of power may be shifting.
So how does this impact investors? What should they be watching out for?
Well, they need to be aware of the potential risks. We could see tighter export controls on AI technology, making it harder for U.S. companies to access the latest advancements. And there's also the risk of increased competition for resources, like talent and funding.
So it's not just about picking the right company, it's about navigating this complex global landscape.
Precisely. And that requires staying informed, understanding the risks, and being prepared to adapt to changing circumstances.
All right, so far DeepSeek sounds like a real game changer, but is there anything that gives you pause? Any reasons for caution?
That's a great question, and it brings us to a crucial point that's been somewhat overshadowed by all the excitement. We've talked a lot about DeepSeek's efficiency and innovation, but there's one area where they seem to be lagging behind.
What's that?
Accuracy.
Oh, right. I remember reading something about that. They haven't exactly aced all the tests, have they?
Unfortunately, no. Early assessments by organizations like NewsGuard have shown that DeepSeek's chatbot fails accuracy tests a staggering 83% of the time.
Wait, 83%? That's a lot.
It is. And it's a significant red flag. They've run into a range of problems generating incorrect information, failing to answer queries properly, and even exhibiting a tendency to echo certain political viewpoints, even on totally unrelated topics.
Yikes. So it sounds like there are some serious questions about their reliability. Is DeepSeek truly a groundbreaking innovation or just another AI producing hallucinations?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's a reminder that we need to be cautious and avoid getting swept up in the hype.
Right. Just because something is cheaper and faster doesn't automatically make it better.
Exactly. We need to consider the whole picture, including accuracy, reliability, and potential biases. And this is where the conversation gets even more interesting.
So DeepSeek has made some like big waves with their efficient and affordable approach to AI, but those accuracy issues are a bit concerning. Is this just a bump in the road or a sign of something more serious?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it raises this broader point about, just the inherent challenges of accuracy in AI development.
Okay, what do you mean?
Well, even the most sophisticated AI models are still essentially just complex algorithms trained on massive data sets. They can process information and generate outputs at incredible speeds, but, they're only as good as the data they're trained on and how they're designed.
So if the data is flawed or the algorithms are biased, the AI's output's going to reflect those limitations.
Exactly. And that's why accuracy is this persistent challenge in the AI field. It's not just about making models bigger or faster. It's about making sure that they're reliable and trustworthy.
So how do we address these accuracy problems? Is it just a matter of like feeding AI models more data and refining the algorithms?
It's definitely part of the solution, but I think we also need to be more mindful of the data that we're using to train these models. We need to make sure that it's diverse, representative, and free from bias. And we need to develop these like robust testing methods to evaluate the accuracy and reliability of these AI systems before they're actually deployed in the real world.
So it's not just about the tech itself, it's also about the human element, the choices we make about how we develop and use AI.
Precisely. That brings us back to DeepSeek. Their accuracy issues are a reminder that we need to be, cautious and critical when we're evaluating these new AI breakthroughs. Just because something is cheaper and faster doesn't automatically make it better.
Right. We got to consider the whole picture accuracy, reliability, potential biases, the whole nine yards. So even with those accuracy concerns, DeepSeek has still had a major impact. They've shaken things up and forced everyone to kind of rethink what's possible in AI development.
Absolutely. They've
Mm.
challenged the status quo and pushed the boundaries of, what we thought was achievable. And their open source approach has the potential to really democratize access to AI technology,
Mm.
making it available to a wider range of developers and researchers.
So what does all of this mean for the future of AI? Where do we go from here?
That's a great question, and it's really hard to answer definitively. But here's a final thought-provoking question for our listeners.
All right, hit us with it.
If DeepSeek can achieve these results with relatively limited resources, what does this mean for the future of AI development? Will we see a shift towards more accessible and affordable AI, or will the tech giants find a way to maintain their dominance?
That's a really interesting question. It really makes you wonder what the next chapter in the AI saga will be like.
Indeed. And it's a reminder that we're all active participants in shaping that future. Our choices as consumers, investors, and citizens will play a role in determining the trajectory of AI.
So as always, dear listeners, we encourage you to continue exploring this topic, consider the implications for your own lives, and stay engaged in the conversation. The world of AI is constantly evolving, and it's up to all of us to shape its direction.
Well said. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Until next time, keep those minds curious and those critical thinking skills sharp.